Joining me, two communications consultant, Gemma Tognini, a Sky News regular, and Chrissy McSweeney, who has worked for a coalition prime ministers and premiers and is still getting hooked up. So we will start with Gemma. Gemma, I mean, you love your Italian background, and I would if I were Italian, even more than I enjoy my Dutch one. But picking up on what the British Prime Minister said, with mass immigration, do we risk becoming strangers to each other in our own land? Is multiculturalism, governments actually encouraging different identity groups, now a luxury we can't really afford?
I'm going to just answer in a different way, if that's okay, because I believe that we do have to be more careful and more cautious with immigration today than ever before, and that is simply the practical reality that there are actors and forces who have malintent towards the countries that they go to, not just Australia, not just the UK. To not accept that and acknowledge that is just naivety. Around multiculturalism, I've never really had an issue with it because my own, as you say, I've got an Italian heritage. My father came to Australia as a 10-year-old on a boat. I asked my nonna one time, what was the first thing that you said to my nonno Carlo when you arrived at Fremantle after having not seen him for a few years? Well, she said to me, I said to him, Charlie, take me home. And I thought, well, that's a bit of a downer. But what she meant was, take me to the place that is now my home. Not take me back to the village in Italy, but take me to the place that is now my home. That turned out to be Quinnanup, a little mill town several hours south of Perth, where they worked and they raised their kids, and they had another kid, and in her mind, she was then Australian. They kept their Italian cultural practices and identity and the things that, wove them together as Italian people, but they saw themselves as Australian, so much so that my father became naturalised at the age of 16, making it very difficult, Andrew, for me and my brother to get Italian passports.
Well, I have to say, I agree with that, and there's lots of great examples about that in my family my son's married into, all that. I got that. On the other hand, I mean, you do have governments, foreign governments, actually deliberately saying, listen, if you are of this ethnic identity, we have a stake in you. You've got Chinese government departments dedicated to fostering Chinese patriotism in Australia and abroad. You have an organisation, Greek government organisation called Greeks Abroad, which does the same sort of thing for Greek culture and Greek political influence there. Christy, what do you think? Is multiculturalism now, look, let people be multicultural, that's on them, but it is not a government's role to encourage it. It's a government's role to say, you are Australian.
Oh, of course. And can I make the distinction that multiculturalism and the debate around immigration into Australia, they are two different things, and a lot of people like to diverge those two things within the same context. When we talk about immigration caps, we have to take a view on, can Australia contain that growth with the current infrastructure and deficit we have? And when we talk about multiculturalism, we talk about how successful Australia is as a nation based on multiculturalism, but based on multiculturalism where, as Gemma rightly says, people adapt to coming to Australia, bringing the best of their own culture, bringing their own history and their own cultural identity, but becoming Australian and not bringing international foreign conflicts and disputes into Australian communities. And we've seen that grow significantly as well. And again, I make the point, they are all different issues, and that context is not just one context.
Yeah, but we could say leave your foreign conflicts abroad, but it's not happening, as you know, and of course it's not going to really happen.
Exactly.
And I think it'll get worse. So I just think the government's role is to encourage national symbols. Now, speaking of that, national identity, national symbols, or symbols of our supposedly common past. In Melbourne, the city of Yarra, Gemma, has voted unanimously not to repair and return a memorial of Captain Cook to Melbourne Park after vandals kept attacking it, saying it was, a colonial relic and awful and all that kind of thing. The council said it so far cost $100,000 to keep fixing this thing. It wasn't that important, really, and Cook was a contested figure in relation to First Peoples, by which it means Aboriginal people. Is that the right call?
Of course, it's not the right call, and no one's told the Yarra Council that Adam Bank got booted out at the last election. And my advice to these councils is you invited this on yourselves. When you stopped focusing on the things that actually ratepayers expect you to do, which is pick up the bins and keep things clean, and you dived into all of this social engineering and all of that sort of garbage, you invite this kind of behaviour. In my view, it's a great way to spend ratepayers' money is to ensure that vandals don't get off scot-free. Whack a few CCTVs cameras up there. You'll soon find the people you're looking for. And when there are actual consequences, these kinds of behaviours tend to dissipate. I mean, it's literally play stupid games, win stupid prizes, Andrew.
Except $100,000 is a lot of money, isn't it?
It is a lot of money, but at what price? You just asked a question about multiculturalism and immigration. At what cost do we let these people run riot through our neighbourhoods and through our parks and carrying on like this without any consequence whatsoever? You can say, yeah, it's $100,000. Is it worth $100,000 to put a stop to it, to actually ensure that these people can get caught, or at least give it a fighting chance for them to get caught? Or you just roll over like a drover's dog and say, do whatever the hell you want?
Well, I think you're probably right. Can you tell me, Gemma, why are so many women attacking Susan Lee? Is it that they genuinely don't think she's any good? Is it women don't really support women like we're told they do? Is it, is she a man's woman rather than a woman's woman? If such categories exist. What is it?
I don't know the answer to that. I actually didn't know that so many women were attacking Susan Lee. I made a comment in my weekend column because I didn't feel like she was particularly relevant, but I'm always happy to be wrong for the right reasons. I don't know the answer to that. If she's capable, then she'll prove herself capable. My personal issue is I hate the argument that just says chuck a uterus at the problem and everything will be fine. That's just a patently incorrect, flawed way of thinking that's an insult to every woman born of woman. So I don't know. I hope for the party's sake that she thrives. Will she? Time will tell.
What do you make of it, Christy?
I don't know why people are attacking Susan Lee. She's had one day in the job, and I think, Andrew, you and I both know part of that has got to do with the undercurrent of Liberal Party factionalism and how close the vote was and how the deals were done. And my, weren't some deals done. So we see that spill out into the open. I think it's fantastic that the coalition has taken such a long time, or shall I say the Liberal Party, my party's part of the coalition, to elect a female leader. A lot of people are making comparisons to past people who've had a go. The party room has to elect you. And for that, you have to gather enough votes for the party room to elect you. But I'm glad that's a wonderful moment for the coalition. I think she deserves to be taken seriously and deserves to have some clear air, which, it lasts about a day in politics, that clear air that you get. But the Liberal Party should not be in a position of creating a media narrative around attacking the new leader. That is the last thing the party needs as it wants to go forward and demonstrate to the Australian public that they are taking their job seriously of giving an alternative government to Australians, not attacking each other. Just stop. We don't really care about the federal intervention in New South Wales. We want people to vote for us again.
Yes. I could sing it, sister. I so agree with you. I'm so, if they think that voters absolutely care about all of that factional BS that they're obsessed with, they haven't worked out that they just got shellacked 2 weekends ago. Just stop it.
But Gemma, when you are, particularly if you are the first, right, in this case, the first woman to lead the Liberal Party,
sure,
there'll be a huge expectation on you to somehow be a woman leader as different from a man, to show that.
I don't think that's the pressure. I think the pressure is to be...
I don't think so. Like Margaret Thatcher resisted that.
No, what I mean is, if you're... she's the first woman leader and that's an honour. The pressure is not... everyone... I think Christy might have a different view, but I suspect that there'll be a whole cohort of people on the sidelines sort of rubbing their hands waiting for her to fail. And again, could not agree more with what Christy said before. you just get out of the way and be part of a team that shows that it values Australian voters and wants to show them why they're different and why they should actually be trusted with their vote. And dare I say this, to be a little bit cheeky and provocative, get a little bit of the Labor Party's discipline while you're at it. Bit of discipline and a bit of focus.
Oh, I think that's right. It was most undisciplined, particularly. I was so surprised by Fiona Scott, the Vice President of the Liberal Party, to seem so lukewarm. I mean, what on earth was that? Chris McSweeney, Gemma Tognini, thank you very much to you both.